Alright, today we are making a Sacramento Sucker. This will be the last build video for the Russian River Native series, at least for now. It might come back in the future, just depends on if that's something that I want to do again. Also, I want to add more personality to my videos, so that's why we're doing this. My voice can tend to be a little bit monotone, so I think seeing my face will help with that a little bit. Anyway, starting things off, I cut the profile of the bait on the bandsaw. Then I moved over to the disc sander to smooth things out. Then I marked out where I needed to cut the joints and moved over to the vise. Carefully, without cutting off any fingers, I cut the joint. After I cut the joint most of the way, I marked out the top profile of the bait. Then brought the wood to my lines with a combination of the bandsaw and the disc sander. Then I marked out the corners and removed material with my knife and some sandpaper to round out the bait. Once I had the bait smoothed out, I marked out the gill details and started carving. Then came the unique aspect to this bait. Much like the prickly sculpin lure, this bait was going to have top hooks that were held in place by magnets. This will actually end up causing a few problems later, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. Next up, I poured the lead in the belly of the bait with most of the weight towards the front. I saw a comment on the last build asking how I made the tail, so I'll explain that now. Using the bandsaw, I cut out a tail fin shape from some Lexan. Then I carved the detail with a Dremel. After that, I cast a silicone mold around it. The material I use for the tails is a 2-part soft resin, and I color it using mica powders, just like I do for my soft plastic baits. It's a pretty simple process, and the tails come out looking pretty good depending on how detailed your carvings are. Next up, I carved some notches into the top of the bait to allow for better contact between the hooks and the magnets. Then I test fit all the pieces together and took it out for a test run. I noticed the bait didn't stay down as much as I wanted it to, and it had a tendency to try and roll. This was because of the weight of the magnets and the hooks being on top of the bait. The only way I could really fix that issue is to add more weight to the bottom. Ideally, I'd be able to add some buoyant material to the top of the bait as well, but that wasn't really possible. So I headed back to the shop and put more weight in the belly. I took it out for a second test and noticed that the extra weight gave the bait less action. So I decided the bait needed a lip to impart more action on it. Once I got the lip installed, this was the resulting action. The last thing to do was to paint and clear coat the bait, so I brought it back in the shop and got to work. The fish I'm imitating has a pretty basic color scheme, but mixing the right shades was still pretty difficult. In the end though, it came out looking pretty good. That said, I do wish I put a little bit more gold coloration on it. Here's some extra test footage with the finished bait. Unfortunately, there's no fishing in this video, however this bait will be featured in the final Russian River Natives video, which should be coming out in the next couple weeks. Every lure that I've made in this series will be featured in that video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button, and maybe even consider subscribing. And with that, I'll see you next time.